Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha with News Tonight, where we get you all the latest news and developments from across India and around the world. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Saturday announced the fourth tranche of the government's 20 lakh crore rupees fiscal stimulus package. She said Saturday's announcements focus on the structural reforms which the country needs to be ready for in order to become self-reliant.
The government will soon end its monopoly in the coal sector and bring in commercial mining. Accordingly, 500 mining blocks will be offered through an open auction mechanism. The mining of minerals will boost growth, employment and bring state-of-the-art technology, especially in exploration. To boost defence production, FDI limit in defence manufacturing under automatic route will be raised from 49 to 74%. The government will notify weapons or platforms banned for imports. Such items can only be purchased from India.
We are bringing in commercial mining in coal sector. You know, coal, as all of you all know, coal is a government monopoly. That government monopoly is what is now being removed. Commercial mining of coal on a revenue sharing basis would help more coal availability and also more coal availability at market prices. So this will be far more efficient and more people can get to using it. Liberalized entries will be allowed for people to participate for a range of coal blocks, and for those who produce well before the deadline, incentives also will be given. We shall notify a list of weapons and platforms which shall be not allowed for import, but we shall have them bought from India. So the import of this listed set of equipments shall not be allowed. They shall be banned. And every year this list will be increased.
Sitharaman said only 60% of India's airspace is freely available. She added that restrictions will be eased. She also said 6 more airports will be up for auction under the public-private partnership model. Additional investments will happen in 12 airports for better world-class facilities.
6 more airports are for auction, and the Airports Authority of India shall do it on public-private basis, PPP basis. Additional investments also are likely to happen by private players in about 12 airports which they are already holding for better world-class facilities to be brought in. The Airports Authority of India will get a down payment of 2,300 crores, and also the first and second rounds of investments are expected to get 13,000 crores.
The government wants the private sector to take part in the country's space journey. The finance minister said the government will provide a level playing field for private companies in satellites, launches and space-based services. They will be allowed to use ISRO's facilities and other relevant assets.
Private sector is being given a good access to this space area where both government and private sector can work for a better Atmanirbhar Bharat. Another important aspect is there's a lot of geospatial data in India for Indians, particularly like startups which are looking at doing a lot of irrigation work, drought-prone area development work, groundwater work. They don't most often get the data within India. They go getting it from abroad, data about India, paying through their nose for some good work that they do for India itself. So a liberal geospatial data policy is something which we like to work.
Power distribution companies in the Union territories will be privatized. This will be in line with the tariff policy that will be announced soon. The finance minister said the government will establish a research sector in the PPP model to produce medical isotopes to ensure affordable treatment for cancer and other diseases. India's robust startup ecosystem will also be linked to the nuclear sector to foster synergy between research facilities and tech entrepreneurs. The last tranche will be released at 11 a.m. on Sunday. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Talking about the latest COVID-19 figures in the country, the total number of coronavirus cases in India neared 86,000 on Saturday, with 3,970 patients testing positive and 103 deaths being recorded in the last 24 hours. India now has 53,035 active cases. The death toll stands at 2,752, while 30,152 people have been cured so far, including 2,232 patients who've recovered in the last 24 hours.
Compared to global figures, India's fertility rate, that is the number of deaths compared to the total number of infected people, is 3.2%, which is almost half of the world's fertility rate of 6.65%. While India is seeing an increase in daily cases, its recovery rate improved to 35.08% on Saturday. With over 17 lakh people cured, globally the recovery rate worldwide is 38%. Also, India's cases are low compared to other countries like the US, where cases touched 14 lakh with an average 268 deaths per 10 lakh population. India has an average of 2 deaths per 10 lakh people. According to the Health Ministry, the nationwide lockdown helped India to lower the rate at which infections were doubling. Cases are doubling now in 12 days compared to 3 to 4 days when the lockdown began. Also, coronavirus cases could have increased to 8.2 lakh by 15th April had India not implemented a complete lockdown. A nationwide lockdown was announced from 25th March when the country had only 500 cases. Some of the worst affected countries, including Italy, Spain and France, announced a lockdown when cases touched 5,000. United States has not announced a complete lockdown yet.
As the country nears the end of the third phase of the nationwide lockdown, its COVID-19 tally reached 85,940 on Saturday. Maharashtra, the worst affected COVID-19 state, has now stepped up measures to contain the pandemic.
The state government set up 2 committees to coordinate with private hospitals on infection and treatment. The Labour Bureau has also been activated to help industries find workers to replace migrants who left for their homes. About 38,000 industries have resumed operations in the state. 79 police personnel in Mumbai tested positive in the last 24 hours, even as coronavirus cases in the state touched 30,000. In Tamil Nadu, COVID-19 cases crossed 10,000. Immunity boosting Siddha formulations are being given to people in select pockets where the number of patients is high. All government offices will start functioning in Tamil Nadu from Monday with 50% staff. In Chennai, the city's civic body is distributing 50 lakh free masks to all those living in dense pockets.
One side, the allopathic kind of preventive strategies and public health directions about mask, social distancing and hand washing. Another side, searching and getting the people and ensuring that they are tested, aggressive testing. Third side, we are also popularizing the traditional approved medicine which is approved by Ayush Ministry like Kabusara Kudinir and all. Then the herbal tea, like in the olden days in the house they used to give locally available material which increase the immunity. That is being given in a focused way in high intensive area in a combined manner.
438 confirmed cases of COVID-19 were reported in Delhi in the last 24 hours. The total number of confirmed cases in the national capital now stands at 8,895. Gujarat is third in terms of the number of COVID-19 cases, with 9,931 confirmed cases so far. In Andhra Pradesh, 48 more COVID-19 positive cases were reported on Saturday, adding to a total of 2,307. Authorities said essential commodities and other items have been distributed to the families living in red zone areas in the district. Meanwhile, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said the state will observe a complete lockdown on Sunday to strengthen its fight against the disease. The state's COVID tally has gone up to 576. Karnataka reported 23 new cases of coronavirus on Saturday, taking the total number of infections in the state to 1,079. 9 districts in Madhya Pradesh, which had earlier reported COVID-19 cases, have now become coronavirus-free. States like Himachal Pradesh, Assam, Goa, which had either stopped reporting new cases or were reporting very few, have seen a noticeable rise in the number of cases.
In the last 6 weeks, Northeast has emerged as a model of corona management. And this has been possible because of the early preemptive steps taken by the Modi government. The supplies were made available in adequate quantity so that there was no shortage in that region in spite of the topographical and geographical constraints. Government took a very wise decision under Prime Minister to ensure early sealing of all the borders because we have a huge eastern border.
The government on Saturday launched the second phase of the Vande Bharat mission to bring back stranded Indian nationals from abroad. This phase will continue till the 22nd of May, under which Air India will operate 149 special flights to bring back Indian citizens from as many as 31 countries.
On the first day of the mission, as many as 328 Indians arrived in Delhi from London at around 11 a.m. by an Air India flight. Another Air India Express flight carrying 177 Indian nationals arrived at the Cochin airport in Kerala from Dubai at 6:30 p.m. 2 other flights carrying 177 passengers each from UAE will touch down at 2 Kerala airports later tonight. The first flight would be from Abu Dhabi to Thiruvananthapuram and another one to Kozhikode. Airport authorities said those with symptoms will be taken directly to COVID hospitals and the remaining would be sent to home quarantine. At least 39 flights have been scheduled from the Gulf countries in this phase. 11 flights have been scheduled from the United Arab Emirates alone. The government says priority is being given to compelling cases, those in distress, including migrant workers who have been laid off, apart from pregnant women and medical cases. The cost of travel is being borne by the travellers. Till now, over 1,88,000 Indian nationals have registered for return to the country on the official government portal. Meanwhile, nearly 590 Indians stranded in Maldives were evacuated on Saturday on an Indian Navy ship. In its Phase 2 of Operation Samudra Setu, INS Jalashwal left Malé for Kochi with 588 residents of Kerala and Lakshadweep. The first phase of the Vande Bharat mission began on May 7th. Under it, a detailed plan was chalked out to bring back around 15,000 Indians from 12 countries who were stranded due to COVID-19 outbreak.
In the second phase, 18 new countries have been added from where Indian people have to be evacuated. Almost 32,000 people will be taken back from different countries in the second phase. But one complaint has come from the Embassy of Muscat, and the embassy people are telling that some people are registering, but when they are called to buy air ticket, they are denying. And this is creating a big problem in assessing the real number of people. So it is advised that only those should register who can afford air ticket for themselves. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television in Delhi.
In a fresh communication to states, the Union Home Ministry has written to all states to ensure that migrant workers do not have to walk back to their home states.
Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla asked states to facilitate the movement of migrant workers through special buses or Shramik trains. The Home Secretary has written to Chief Secretaries of states that people need to be made aware about these arrangements and counseled by states to not travel on foot. He said states must ensure that such workers are taken to nearby shelters and provided with food and water till they board the buses or trains. The Home Secretary further said that the railways will run more special trains for the purpose as per requirement.
The letter to Chief Secretaries of States from the Ministry of Home Affairs comes on a day when 24 migrant workers died and dozens others were injured in a road accident.
The trailer truck carrying around 50 migrant labourers was coming from Rajasthan when it collided with a van in Auraiya district. According to officials, separate groups of migrants had hitched rides on 2 trucks from Rajasthan and Delhi, and they were headed to Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. President Nath Kovind has expressed grief over the road accident. In a tweet, President Kovind said all necessary steps are being taken by the local administration to help those affected. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that he is deeply anguished by the loss of lives, as he expressed condolences to the bereaved families and wished for speedy recovery of the injured. Expressing grief over the accident, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the incident is very tragic and the government is engaged in relief work. He expressed his condolences to the families of those killed in this accident. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also expressed his deepest condolences and has directed authorities that all the injured must be provided with medical care immediately.
The Union Home Ministry has issued fresh guidelines to protect frontline healthcare workers from COVID-19.
It has asked healthcare facilities to activate their hospital infection control committees and identify a nodal officer. The nodal officer will ensure that healthcare workers use PPEs as per their risk profile, besides undergoing training and awareness about common signs and symptoms. The officer also has to provide for regular thermal screening of all hospital staff and ensure that all healthcare workers are provided with chemoprophylaxis under medical supervision. Further, all preventive measures like social distancing, use of masks, hand hygiene, respiratory etiquettes and use of PPEs need to be followed at all times. The advisory also called for the use of a buddy system in which 2 or more people teams share responsibility for their partner's safety. All healthcare workers also have been asked to report every exposure to COVID-19 to the nodal officers. The healthcare worker will then be quarantined depending on the risk assessed by the nodal officer. The advisory also asks pregnant or lactating mothers and immunocompromised healthcare workers to be posted only in non-COVID areas.
With the possibility of resumption of domestic flights soon, the Airport Authority of India has released some steps that air travellers must follow.
To begin with, they need to mandatorily download the Arogya Setu app. Other guidelines include wearing a mask and protective gear, maintaining physical distance of 4 feet from other co-passengers, washing and sanitizing hands frequently, doing a web check-in, carrying a printout of the boarding card and cooperating with the airport staff. Domestic and international flight operations were suspended, remember, in the month of March to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus when the national lockdown was announced. But special Air India flights are continuing to evacuate stranded Indian nationals from foreign countries as part of the Vande Bharat mission.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has thanked US President Donald Trump for donating ventilators to India in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic.
On Twitter, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "This pandemic is being fought collectively by all of us. In such times, it is always important for nations to work together and do as much as possible to make our world healthier and free from COVID-19. The message comes a day after Trump said his country will donate ventilators to India. Trump said on Twitter, "We stand with India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi during this pandemic." At a media briefing in the US earlier, President Trump referred to his visit to New Delhi, Ahmedabad and Agra in February. He underlined the close partnership between the two countries and called Prime Minister Narendra Modi his good friend. Trump also said the US is working with India to develop a vaccine for COVID-19 and praised Indian Americans as great scientists and researchers. It is noteworthy that at Trump's request, last month India allowed 50 million hydroxychloroquine tablets to be exported to America.
Sending a lot of ventilators to India. I spoke to Prime Minister Modi and we're sending quite a few ventilators to India. We have a tremendous supply of ventilators.
Countries across the world are initiating new measures to put their economies back on track. Slovenia has become the first European country to declare an end to the COVID-19 epidemic.
Calling off the epidemic on Friday, Prime Minister Janez Janša said Slovenia has the best epidemic situation in Europe and the spread of the virus is under control in the country. Further lifting its lockdown, Slovenia has opened shopping centres as well as hotels. It is also allowing European Union residents to freely cross into Slovenia from Austria, Italy and Hungary at fixed checkpoints. All other foreign nationals who enter Slovenia will be quarantined for 14 days. Americans are also getting back to work. Major cities have green signaled construction and manufacturing activities. On Friday, New York City and New Jersey beaches were open to the public. Germany's Bundesliga soccer league got underway from Saturday. Matches were played even though fans were not allowed inside the stadiums. Economic activities, including opening of shops, restaurants and auto production has also started. Austria has opened its cafes, bars as well as restaurants with mandatory social distance and hygiene rules. Other countries are also relaxing restrictions. Spain has eased lockdown for almost 70% of its population. Italy is lifting foreign travel restrictions on the 3rd of June, while people will be allowed to freely move within the country starting the 18th of May. Japan has also lifted emergency from most parts of the country. Shops, supermarkets, cafes and public transportation have begun. Thailand is also opening its shopping malls, restaurants, parks, museums, libraries as well as learning centres from Sunday. Australia also opened restaurants, cafes and bars on Friday. Public swimming pools are back in business while people are meeting friends and family. Schools are also gradually taking up lessons. Meanwhile, global infections have crossed over 4.6 million so far, while over 3 lakh deaths have been reported.
The India Meteorological Department has predicted that cyclone Amphan, forming over the Bay of Bengal, is likely to intensify into a severe cyclonic storm by Sunday.
The Weather Department has warned of adverse weather in the Andaman Sea, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and West Bengal coasts for the next couple of days. Odisha and West Bengal coastal areas are likely to receive light to moderate rainfall from Monday, while isolated regions will experience heavy rainfall between 19th to 20th of May. As a precautionary measure, 12 districts in Odisha have been put on alert, while fishermen have been asked not to venture into the sea over the next few days in view of a rough sea condition.
So that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you very much for your time. Take good care of yourselves and your families.